Okay, let's give this another try. Um, what I discovered is that my headphones don't work with Windows 11. I cannot find a solution to it, so my headphones are going to be just for recording with my phone from now on, apparently. I mean, it's just like a cheap, like $10 microphone from Amazon, so it just doesn't work on my computer. So that's exciting. Before I get started, I'm gonna jump on and share my live stream um, over to all of my social media channels again. Let's see, share, copy link. Do do. Hey, is that Rachel? All right, so we've got audio again, so that's exciting. Um, Now we've got to figure out, I don't know how loud my sewing machine is going to be. Um, I can turn down my mic if needed. Um, and I've got to get my phone all together again. Let's see. Oop. Also, just to let you guys know, there is a like massive delayed um, between when I say something on YouTube and when I say something um, on my stream and when it shows up on YouTube it's like a massive delay. So if you say something in chat, um, then just know that you're way behind me. So there may be like a delay in me replying, but I will do my best to reply. I'm just posting on all of my social media real quick. And then hopefully I will try paste. There we go. Okay, so let me get my phone going real quick. Of course, now my ear itches. Like that's awkward. And of course, it was the ear under my microphone. Ah, my phone barely fits in. Uh, you can see my setup here. Which I'm gonna adjust a little. There we go. Uh, I've got it's actually a tablet holder because I have a massive phone. It literally like barely like fits in it. It's pretty funny. All right, let's see if I turn it back on. Hey, there we go. Let me adjust the angle of it a little. Here we go. So you can kind of see my sewing machine, my workspace. I've got two wristlets finished here. On my failed previous live stream, I attempted to talk about how I make the lanyards, not knowing you couldn't hear anything I said. So but I'll probably show another one here in a little bit. I'm stitching with, I've got black thread in my machine right now, so generally once I have a thread in my machine, I like to stick with it. So I am doing all of my stuff that requires black thread right now, which is a lot. I go through black thread like it's going out of style. I'm gonna put my gloves back on, my badass gloves, as Jasmine calls them. But they help my arthritis. Um, and they help my wrists too. So they have like a, you can see they have like the compression for my wrists specifically. My bracelet stuck. There we go. Because my wrists sprain very, very easily. So uh, I like having this extra support for them. And then the compression goes all the way up to my fingertips because I have arthritis in my knuckles. And it's very helpful. I notice I can definitely tell when I'm wearing them versus not um, at the end of the night because my rings actually fit. Like if I'm not wearing them, my rings won't fit the next day. Come on, what is going on here? Oh, I think I put you on wrong. So for some reason, if you see me struggling and not unvelcroing it, for some unbeknownst reason, gloves that are, designed for people with arthritis have the strongest Velcro in the entire world, and it takes like superhuman strength to undo it. So rather than undoing the Velcro, I just slide it on and off. So if you're wondering what the heck I'm doing, because I can't get the damn Velcro for it. Okay, so I hope I have another Coke Zero. Is there one back here? Ah, yes. I had two of them open at one point, and I didn't know if I'd finished both of them, or if I had. That was just one of the two. And it was just one of the two. So good news. Still have them. Let me make sure. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to make sure that like I'm not accidentally like live streaming myself in the background again. I did that earlier. It was kind of funny. Your Coke's in my fridge. Gotta come get it. Okay. So one of the things I'm gonna work on. One of my most, actually, honestly, my most popular sewn item are water bottle carriers. The pattern that I use is a modified version of the H2O Go from, I don't know if it's H2O Go or H2O2 Go, but it's from Lynn's Handmade. And I use the modified version with the slip pocket front instead of the curved zipper. And I also do the boxed bottom instead of the oval bottom. Just way easier, goes together way faster. Um, my exterior, I use cotton, just quilt cotton, and then it is um, backed with fusible fleece. Gives it a nice structure without uh, being super bulky, which is quite nice. Also, with um, the fleece, it's actually like it'll stand up on its own when it's completed, so that's pretty cool. This is I haven't made one out of this pattern before, this fabric. It's really cool. It's like sparkly. I don't know if you can see that in the, yeah, there you go. I don't know what kind of Coke you're talking about, Rachel. I'm talking about, this kind. The zero sugar kind. uh, One of my fellow crafters, I can't remember if it was on TikTok or you on Instagram. Um, he was talking about the, smoking weed and got got I got their video removed. And it's like, we live in a legal state. It's allowed here. Machine back a little. I'm like running into stuff. There we go. How's the sound with the sewing machine? Like, I'm afraid of it being like super, super loud. Apparently I only took one part of my strings off. This is a trick. I don't remember who taught me this. It was some variety of tutorial online that I used to mark um, just using like a pen all the time, and then somebody pointed out that you can clip a notch in um, as long as it stays inside the seam allowance, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so much easier. So now instead of like trying to mark something with a pen, like this one I needed like the halfway point on the other side, um, you just clip a notch out of it. And I'm like, whoa, that's so much easier. To move my drink so I don't knock it over. My sewing machine is actually pretty loud. I never realized just how loud my sewing machine was until I heard someone else's sewing machine in the same room. So when I was making masks for when I was making masks during the pandemic, because I made somewhere between like 4,000 and 5,000 masks over the course of 2 years, and uh, right at the peak of it, when you couldn't get masks except handmade ones, I was working like 12 to 15 hours a day sewing. And my friend Diane, who's a quilter, offered to come help me. So she did a lot of the, I've lost my pen. Um, she helped me with like some of the straight seams, and just like the easy prep work, and then I did the completed them. Um, but she brought her machine to my house, and she has a Husqvarna, and her machine is so quiet. I was like blown away. Like if we were sewing at the same time, you couldn't hear her machine at all over mine. But mine's just a basic. It's a Singer heavy duty. It's from, I bought it at Joann's. They're not super expensive. A lot of people kind of trash on them because they are loud and they're basic. But I'm like, this thing is a freaking workhorse. It has never let me down. The times that it has let me down, it's been user error. Where are my scissors? Scissors. Scissors. Isn't that just like life? You never find the thing you need when you need it. Okay, literally, where'd they go? There they are. I can find my thread scissors, but I couldn't find my fabric scissors. So because I'm doing a boxed bottom, that's why I'm doing these little corner cuts. Oh, I'm on a seam. That doesn't want to cut. Ouch. There's the computer there. Trying to remember to do this like in view of the camera. This is the first time I've ever tried live streaming sewing with my sewing machine. I've done live streaming of cross stitching, but I was like, you know what? I want to try this. All right, who's in here now? Nobody. Oh. It says 2 concurrent viewers, but when I go to participants, I think it's just because that's the chat. I don't think it shows me people who are watching but not chatting. So hi, whoever's in here. I love these with scissors. They're expensive as crap, but on Black Friday they do like a really good sale on Amazon, and they're like $8. Normally they're like 20. I also get all my Wonder Clips on Amazon. I buy them in like 100 patches, boxes. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I order them 100 at a time because I break them like all the damn time. My goal is to not snap another needle tonight. I ended my first live stream. I was sewing a lanyard and my needle just straight like I sort of exploded, and I was like, well, I don't have another needle handy, so I'm gonna have to go find one. And then decided to cook dinner too. So doop, doop, doop. So that's what it looks like with the back's bottom. You can see it stands up on its own. Pop, pop. Okay, so now we need to do the lining. And the lining is where um, these little guys go that the strap hooks on, the strap connectors. I use waterproof canvas as my liner. That way you can put like a bottle of water that's sweating and it's not gonna disturb anything. And I use Ottertex brand specifically. I've tried a couple other brands and they just aren't, they don't have the structure to them. The quality is just not there. So I will only buy Ottertex waterproof canvas now. And I get it from Fabric Warehouse Direct, I believe. I buy it through Amazon because they charge the same price in their Amazon store, but you can get it with Prime shipping. So I'm like, I'll take the free shipping. Thanks. Because the shipping cost from the website is like, I think they charge like a little bit more on their website or on Amazon, but it's not enough to offset the free shipping. So I just order it from Amazon. I have it in like 6 different colors. I keep adding more. I buy the black in like somewhere between 3 and 5 yards at a time. So there's my D-rings attached. Now I do this one little part. This is actually the part I hate because I'm always like, I'm gonna guess the wrong size I need for the gap that I need for turning it through. And I usually do guess the wrong size, and then I usually hate myself later, but that's okay. It all works out. I don't cut my thread in between when I'm doing the gaps. There's actually a couple of occurrences that I don't cut my thread in between. I just leave it and then clip it once I'm done sewing. Ouch. Keep hitting. I think my laptop is a little too close to the edges. I keep hitting it. I trim my seam allowances on the waterproof canvas because otherwise I end up with too much bulk in my seams. I don't do that with cotton because I just don't care. And see here we've got like where the bottom's not perfectly lined up. I'll fix that too. You can hide a multitude of sins with a seam allowance, let me tell you. Wonky cuts, uneven cuts. damage to your fabric. Yeah, as long as it's in the seam allowance. Find my pencil now, because why would I have everything I need ever? But can't use a black pen on black fabric. I mean, you could. I've done it. It's just a little bit challenging to see, and I'd just rather not. Not when I have the appropriate tool. These cuts are a little bit bigger. The box corner is a little bit bigger because it's the lining and it has to fit inside. I just realized my light is like not where it needs to be. There we go. Now you can actually see this black fabric I'm working on. Uh-oh. I have a improperly threaded machine. Whenever that happens, I just fully rethread. Because if I don't fully rethread, inevitably I regret it later. So it's worth it to take the extra, 3 seconds that it takes to fully rethread. Until I do this a lot. Let's try that again. Just pull the bottom up just a little bit, makes it go in easier. This is considered a drop-in lining. You literally just are dropping. When you flip it, you drop the lining down inside, so it's not tacked anywhere. So you could theoretically like pull the whole bag like inside out. I'm gonna do this part like a little bit off camera because I'm struggling with getting it to line up with the unlimited amount of space I have right there. So what I'm doing now is clipping the edges of the inside and outside together, so I don't have to fight with it as much when I'm actually sewing it. And I don't know how many people are gonna watch this later, how many of you guys sew. Probably boring you to tears with all this like basic sewing stuff, but I know a lot of people who follow me because of my floss tube may not necessarily sew themselves, or they may not have ever sewn a bag before. So I'm trying to like get a little bit of information as I go about what I'm doing. So I know when I'm working on a new bag pattern, I always try to find somebody who has made that pattern on YouTube, and especially because the patterns that I use, a lot of them are written to be made with vinyl or canvas, and I sew with quilt cotton. So I definitely like to find other people who have made them using the quilt cotton, which can be really hard to find sometimes. Like I have yet to find anybody who's made a rosy sling out of quilting cotton. Um, so maybe I'll be the first. This is the part I hate, because you have to like fight with it to get it to lay flat on these corners, on the curves, which is a big reason why I don't do the curved zipper that the pattern originally calls for. I just hate fighting with curves, and I'm like, there's nothing that sounds worse to me than a curved zipper. That just sounds like a terrible time. And boxes or bags usually do involve pretty much just like straight seams, which is kind of nice. Bags are easier to make than people think. I think if you can sew, you can make a bag. Um, you just have to like get over the fear of like maybe some of the new techniques you're not as used to, like zippers. If you've never put a zipper in before, magnetic snaps are actually super easy to do. Um, the welt zippers, um, they still kind of annoy me just because they take so much time. But I mean, I can make them look really nice now, which I could not when I first started making bags. For a second there, I was afraid that I wasn't catching that bottom fabric, but I am. Oh, don't sew with your presser foot up, dum dum. I'm hoping I didn't just screw anything up, because I only did like 2 stitches before I realized that I hadn't put it back down. So I was on like a big lump of fabric, so I thought it was just that I was on the lump of fabric, and I'll put my pressure bubbles up. And if you weren't aware, sewing with your presser foot up doesn't work because the tension on the threads is wrong. Like the machine is designed to have that foot down, and the tension will be all screwy if it's not. And then you end up with rat's nests of threads. Almost there. So I'm gonna clip my corners, which means I'm gonna, instead of these like flat, these sharp corners, I notch them. So that way when I flip it, I also cut this top seam allowance down a little bit. That way when I flip it, I don't have a whole bunch of bulk fabric built up into that seam, because that makes the corners hard to light nice. Big old seam allowance on this corner. And the beauty is that when I flip this, you're not gonna, like, you see how like kind of rough that is? It's not very pretty, like smooth edge. But when you flip it, you won't be able to tell. I'm also trying to remember to like speak up better because I mumble. I'll fully admit that I'm a mumbler. Um, so I'm trying to remember not to mumble while streaming. I just hit my phone. Stop bouncing. Gonna make everybody seasick. Lower. Alright. Grab my D-ring. Get the lining down. Push down inside. And then once I've got that all flipped, I'm going to take my scissors and poke out my corners. So I use the closed end of my scissors to poke out my corners. Some people use like a bamboo skewer. They make tools specifically for this. I just find that I already have my scissors. I'm already constantly using them. And when you're dealing with, you know, multiple layers of fabric and interfacing and all of that, you're not gonna poke through the fabric. If you are, you're doing something wrong. Which, I mean, let's be real, I've definitely poked through my fabric many times. But that just means I was poking too hard. So you can see I'm like popping that corner out to make it a nice angle. There we go. Oh, that one popped real nice. Oh, see, I poked through a little bit there because I went in between stitches. So I'm gonna poke my fabric back in. I got some stretched out stitches right there. That's alright, the top stitching will fix that. edges down. Ah, hit my phone again. I'm going to top stitch this. And top stitching just, one, it makes the like seams nice and sharp. It makes it look more finished and professional. Top stitching definitely is one of those things that like requires practice. Like my first top stitching I ever did looked terrible. The hardest part of top stitching these bad boys is getting the fabric flat. It's hard to see where I am. It's hard to manipulate because I'm working with a really stiff fabric. Like right here, it's trying to wrinkle. So I've got to use my scissors to kind of flatten it out because I don't want to sew a crease in. That's like the last thing I want to do. And I'll sometimes do this where I lift my presser foot while my needle is still down so that I'm not like actually moving where I'm stitching, but I can manipulate the fabric a little better. And this particular spot, I'm always like really particularly fussy about my top stitching because this is the top front, and so it should be like the nicest looking part. So I always make sure my top stitching is like, you know, the best I can make it. I'm gonna try to be consistent in my scheduling of my live streams. I hope I'll probably do more of them leading up to markets, especially bigger ones like this one. I haven't done the full moon market before, but I've heard that it's a pretty popular one, well attended, and you know, things like Willow Springs Street Fair. I'll probably do the videos more often leading up to those bigger shows. Um, and then there may be some weeks where I don't stream because I'm not crafting. You know? If I've got like a multiple week break, I may take some time off, you know? But I'll try to make sure that like I announce ahead of time, like I tried to do today, where I was having so many issues. But I try to let everybody know like the day before what time I was going to be streaming, and then like actually try to stick with it. All right, why is this canvas not cooperating with me? Flip, dang it. There it goes. It doesn't want to like tuck on this side for some reason. I just saw my dog get up on the couch and I was like, what the heck? Oh, it's the dog. She was moving from one side of it to the other, apparently. Oh, I just unplugged my machine. Dang it. My cord doesn't stay in very well, so if you like bump it, it comes unplugged. Did you get in there? Stay. So how long does it take to make one of these bags? Well, I've been sewing on this one for 45 minutes. And as you probably noticed, it was already mostly assembled. I had already done all of the... Did I just break my needle again? No. I had already put the the exterior of the bag, and I had done the interfacing, and I had cut out um, the liner, and no, I broke my thread. That's what I broke. Um, Damn it. See, okay, good. I thought I ironed a crease into it right here, but no, it was just folded over. Now I have to rethread my machine again. I don't know how I did that. But the prep work that I did leading up to this final assembly, between cutting, ironing, oh, my thread like stripped. That's what happened. It was like a weak spot in the thread, probably. Um, but getting it to the point that it was when I started sewing it was probably like a total of a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. I would say one of these start to finish takes about an hour and a half. I timed how long it takes me to make a Mav, which is the backpack sling bag convertible. Um, they take me 2.5 hours from start to finish. Um, I never stitch things start to finish ever. Um, I batch sew, so I'll do like all of the exteriors of all of um, the H2Os that I'm going to do, or I'll do all of the zippers. And then the next day or the next time I sew, I'll do all of the pockets, things like that. So until final assembly, I do them in batches. When I'm cutting, I tend to cut, 3 to 5 bags at a time. Okay. And I don't sew the hole up in my lining until it is completely 100% done, because I want to make sure that I can, if there's been any issues um, where it has messed up any of my corners or, anything, basically anything. I still have access to the inside of the bag. So I'm going to reach in and re-poke my bottom corners. Yeah, they look pretty good. Thread tail there. So everything looks pretty good. I don't have anything sticking out where it's not supposed to. All of my seams are good. All of them are done. Now I can. Again, this is where the drop-in lining comes in. As you can see that you can literally pull the entire lining out. It's not tacked anywhere except to the top. And I do not do an invisible stitch to close this. Some people will do like they'll hand stitch this closed so that they can hide the thread, hide the seam. I do not. If you want to get that particular about the inside of the bag, well, don't buy handmade. Figure out where the end of my split is. Okay, now we put the lining back in. I have thread attached to my gloves. And when I put my lining back in, I make sure that its corners are poked out so that, you know, when you're looking down in the bag, it's nice and smooth inside. So that is a completed H2O bottle carrier. Blink. See, it stands on its own. And then it'll get a crossbody strap, which I'll be doing here in just a second. I use pre-made strap. I use it's a woven polyester. It's the same as you'll sometimes see it called seatbelt webbing because it's the same material. It's water resistant. 3, 4, 5. And it's a very, very strong material. So you know, the clips will go out way before the strap would. Um, I don't like nylon webbing. Um, not for a crossbody strap. They don't melt nicely. They don't um, stay in the slider nicely. I can tell I have my ceiling fan on because my lighter is like trying to burn my finger. The ends of the polyester, or it's not polyester, polypropylene. It's probably polypropylene. Um, because it's a plastic, they melt very nicely, and that keeps them from unraveling. Satin also melts really nicely. So if you have like a satin ribbon that you're using and you don't want the ends to ravel or fray, you can just melt them with a lighter. And I use the same swivel clips for my crossbody straps as I do for my wristlets. And I sew them with a zigzag stitch. So instead of doing like you often will see like the box stitch on straps, I just do a zigzag. And you can see I did go over it 3 full times. And the third pass is a little bit above the first 2 passes. And when you're dealing with black on black, you can't really see it anyway, so you know, it doesn't have to look perfect. When I first started making bags, I had to look at the diagram every time to figure out how to thread um, through the adjustable adjustable slider and the clasps. I've done it enough now. I can do it in my sleep. And that is a completed strap. Put that on here. And we now have a fully finished bag. Ta-da! This is a nice big crossbody strap. I cut them to 60 inches, so like you can wear it. Like I like to wear my crossbody bags low on my hip. So, and I tuck the strap inside, and then that will go in my box of finished bags. Hooray! So 52 minutes. All right. I think I'm gonna pull out one of my Mavs. I have a whole stack of these H2Os ready to put together that I'll be doing over the next day. Um, Probably not live streaming. So I've got two Mav packs that are ready for final assembly, um, which means I've done all of the prep. Um, the welt pockets are, where's my camera? There we go. So the welt pockets are done, front and back. They've got the whole pocket done. I've got the all the hardware on. Um, I've got my zipper gusset put together. Like these are ready to be fully finished. I like doing that where I have some people will do like, oh, let me put the back together and then let me put the front, and then do the lining and then put the front together and then do the lining. And I'm like, nope, I want it so that when I start doing the final assembly, that's all I'm doing. So this one is the Northern Lights. I'm sure you saw when I held it up. I'm missing my front panel. How am I missing my front panel? Like, how is that a thing? It's the most important damn panel. Where'd it go? What the hell? Like, literally, how did I lose the most important piece of the freaking bag? I'm sure it's like stuck to something. This box fell off earlier that they were sitting on because it was when I was trying to find my, I'll say this, when I was trying to find my phone holder, and I knocked that box off. Okay, so here's what the front will look like. Very, very, very pretty. Um, this is my second time I have made this exact bag. Obviously, the pattern placement is just slightly different because, handmade, they all look a little different. Um, and then here is the zipper panel, and it's using, I keep forgetting that my camera is reversed. So I used like a rainbow gradient zipper. Where the hell am I at? There we go. You can kind of see it there. There it goes, like yellow to blue, and then to green, and then to purple, and back to yellow. And then the zipper pulls are rainbow, stars and moons. And then I also used rainbow um, D-rings, and I will use rainbow swivel clips. Usually I only use silver. Um, this one I used rainbow. The other one that I have that is ready for final assembly is Wednesday. So it's Wednesday in Enid's window, or at their window. This is what the front will look like. And then the back is like a coordinating fabric. I bought this as a panel. This is a custom fabric printed by Oh So Pretty. And it comes basically like the design is on a big piece of, it's like it's about a fat quarter of fabric, where the design is on the top half of it. And then the bottom is this coordinate. And it works out perfectly for Mavs, because that's that you can see it's got the design all the way around it, and then that's the coordinate that continues the design. Um, and then just using plain black lining. The Northern Lights one has, this is the lining. It's like a night sky. And then the gusset on this one. Um, the gusset on so the back of the Northern Lights one is cut from the same fabric as the front. I don't always do that. And then the gusset panel, it's the same liner, but I used this like green nebula. It's like a green and blue nebula that matches really well. Whereas the Wednesday panel is more of that coordinate. The zipper pulls on this one are just plain black and they say handmade. I use these probably the most often. If I don't have a zipper pull that is like a really good coordinate, I will use I have the handmade ones in black, silver, and rainbow. So I will use those if I don't have like a zipper pull that matches the theme. I had skulls that I thought about using on this one, and I had them set out on it, and I decided that like there's no skulls anywhere in this. Like there's Thing, there's the rainbow, there's like a spider, there's black roses, but there's no skulls. So I'm like it doesn't match. If I had had like a black rose, I would have used that. Um, I also have a Harry Potter one that is almost in final assembly. I have to put the pockets in the lining and I have to put the hardware on the back, but the gusset's done. So that's the front panel of the Harry Potter one. And then the back panel and the gusset are both made out of the Deathly Hallows coordinate. So that's an example of the back not matching the front. Sometimes I'll do the back the same as the gusset, which the gusset is the part that just goes around that makes the bag width. These are not a drop-in lining. These are the lining is, as you can see, is actually attached all the way around. So these will get flipped through the interior pocket. And again, I have marking notches in here. This marks my center of top and bottom. And then on my panels, I have the center marked top and bottom, and then this is a landmark that matches up with the seam in the gusset. There's some of this out of here that I don't need directly in front of my sewing machine. This part takes 20 bajillion clips. Does it have to take 20 bajillion clips? Probably not. Do I like things to already be flat and not have to fight with them while I'm sewing? Yes. So I use 20 bajillion clips. You can see the two different interfacings I have here. So the front and back are fusible fleece, and then the gusset is fusible foam to give it more structure. Otherwise, the zipper panel kind of like collapses in on itself. So I've done a couple using just the fleece on the zipper panel. My clear Mav is that way, but I definitely prefer the foam. Very first Mav pack I ever made. By the way, the Mav pack is a design from Lynn's Handmade. Same designer as the Shuago. Again, modified slightly, not significantly. Um, it calls for one interior pocket that you flip one of the sides through, and then the other side you're supposed to leave a gap in this seam that I'm working right here, and then top stitch it. But the top stitching ends up going like across the front, right, like across the front panel, and I have never liked how it looked. So what I did was added a second interior zipper pocket that allows me to flip the full final product through that. And then that way I don't have any seams showing at the end. They're all hidden inside pockets. And I don't have to top stitch at the end. I just flip it, poke my corners out, and it's done. On these tight corners, I do have to clip my corners. It makes the fabric easier to manipulate. I feel like the Mav is one of those that really um, it's one of those that proves like you have to make a test run of each bag because you find what works for you and what doesn't when you make test runs. And the first Mav I ever made, I did I'm insane. So the first Mav I ever made was with clear vinyl, um, for the Disturbed and Falling in Reverse concert last year, um, because the venue that we were going to had a clear bag policy, and I don't own a clear bag. We were going to be in the pit, so I knew I wanted to be able to have, the first time that we saw Falling in Reverse, we had seats, and I did not take a bag in, because I didn't want to deal with it being on the floor and whatever else. Uh, but the second time we saw them, we were in the pit. It was my first time ever being in the pit in a concert. And so I wanted to have a bag so that I could put like a water bottle and like my EpiPen, things like that, where they'd be easily accessible. Um, and so I needed a clear bag. And so I decided like 2 nights before the concert, I was gonna make a clear Mav. The Mav pack, by the way, is called that because it is named after the designer's son, Maverick. So if you hear me talking about the Mav, or a Mav, is usually what I call them. Um, that's where the name comes from. But anyway, so yeah, my first one I did, because it was clear vinyl, I had to um, bind the seams, which means it's doing the same thing as like a quilt binding around the edge of around the edge of a blanket, and it was a pain in the ass. It's my first time ever doing binding. Was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Um, got me over my fear of making the Mav. My second Mav I ever made um, was out of quilting cotton. It was out of an Oh So Pretty um, panel, just like my Wednesday one is, um, for my best friend for her trip to Disneyland, because she was going to a Star Wars themed after hours, and she had a panel that was R2D2. And so I made her Mav out of that. Um, that one I did the one pocket. I did not top stitch it though. When I flipped it, I hand stitched that seam closed, so that I did not have to top stitch to close it. And that was when I was like, I wonder if I could just do 2 pockets. And so then my third one I made was for me. It's one I carry all the time. It's a Pokemon one. Um, and that's what I did with that one. And that one, I apparently thought I was smarter than or that I had a better memory than I actually do. Tried to make it off of, from memory, and forgot a step and had an exposed seam at the end and went, well, crap. So I had to get creative. I just threw something on the floor. I have no idea what I just threw on the floor. What was that? It was big, whatever it was. I'm so confused. I literally have no idea what I just knocked off on the floor. Oh, here it is. It was a clip. Um, as you can see, my clip box is kind of sad, because I keep breaking them. I've got another one of those boxes upstairs that's completely like unopened, so that when I get really low on clips, I'll just open the box up. But anywho, so then after I finished that Mav, learned my lesson, actually, follow the instructions instead of thinking I remember them. And ever since then, I've just kind of been on a roll with them. I don't need the instructions anymore, as you can. Oops. I'm still set on a zigzag. There we go. As you can probably tell, I don't use the instructions anymore. I've made enough of these now that I have it memorized. these corners are so hard to get the fabric to not crease. I always end up with at least one pucker in the finished product. That's okay. They're handmade. They're not perfect. Like, why is my sewing machine running away? Like I was talking earlier about curved corners, they definitely take more time. You got to be more patient, not rush through them. That's what takes so long on the final assembly of these, is these curved corners. This is basically just like a tacking stitch. This is a basting stitch so that you can kind of see right now. Um, I do that so that the lining and the exterior of the gusset stay together, and I don't have to, fight with them in addition to fighting with the corners. That was something I figured out extremely early in my Mav Pack journey. But this is a stitch to kind of tack the gusset to the exterior, and then I'll run the actual seam allowance when I put in the lining. So there's the back attached to the gusset. And these are a really well structured bag. I use, the stiffer interfacings so that they have a solid structure, because these are designed to be made out of vinyl. Um, and so you don't want it to just be like a flat, squishy cotton bag. That wouldn't be good. So there's, you can see it's attached to the gusset. So now I'm going to attach the first lining. I'm trying to flatten these corners out. I was saying earlier about the side notch, and it's a landmark. You can see the seam in the gusset here. So I match my four landmarks first, and then go from there. E flat. I play a lot of E flats. I play flute, so yeah, that's our tuning pitch. That's like the most random statement of the night. I can tell that it's like almost 1 in the morning. I say really silly things the later it gets. I don't have anybody currently watching, but I will continue chatting as if there is. Yeah, why not? And that way, anybody who's watching this later at least will be entertained. And hopefully be able to hear me, because again, I mumble, and I realized that I'm mumbling again. And I will not be going back and adding captions to this video. I apologize. Um, but it's going to be an almost 2 hour video, mostly of me rambling. So I don't intend to go back and add captions. I'll have to deal with the automated ones. Sorry. My thumb is hurting. I've been using it too much. My joints get really weak if I overuse them. So like if I'm counting money is a good example. Because I do that with it, and wow, I can't even do it right now. And eventually my thumb will get tired from that motion, and I won't be able to grasp the bills. I don't know if that is the arthritis that's causing that, or if it's related to some of the other health issues that I have, because it started showing up at about the same time that my vertigo started showing up. See, now I'm going to use the full seam allowance, so I'm now using a full 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that'll cover up all those basting stitches and the tacking stitches and the notches and the uneven cuts and everything else. And again, with trying to not get creases. Notice I'm not leaving a gap because my gap is right here in my zipper pocket. Did I forget? I hope to God I remember to unzip this. I did not. I hate it when I do that. Always unzip your zipper. If you're turning through your zipper, you need to have it unzipped. Especially when you're dealing with like super thick fabric like this. It's really hard. Come on. I have to give up and go in. There we go. Glad I remembered that. While I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna do this one too. There we go. That way I won't screw it up again. You know, because even when you've been sewing for a decade, you do stupid things like that. I'm not gonna put all the clips back on. on here. There we go. Had a tail. Let's call it. And this is like the hardest place to not end up with a crease, is like right when you get back to where you started. All right, so that is the back done. These threads. And I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning up these corners, just so there's, again, not as much fabric when I turn it. There's already so much bulk just from the interfacings. There we go. So this is always a funny step to me because like I have like a waffle. It's just like all, and then you reach in through here. And we flip it right side out. Mm-hmm. And this flip is way easier than the final flip because I don't have anything attached to this side of the zipper, so I can just grab it and pull. Oop, there it goes. So you can see the inside zipper. You can see that like the lining is sewn. It's all the way around. It's attached, so it's not a drop-in. But that's the interior, and then that is the back. So much fuzz. But you can see that's what the back will look like. And then we repeat it again for the front. scissors are starting to get dull at the tip. It's taking me like multiple times to cut through all these layers. But this is a very necessary step to get these corners to lay correctly. Pretty sure that's a coyote. Got Rika all flustered. So there's a coyote in my neighborhood that is like not at all afraid of anything. Like I've seen it out in the daytime more than I've seen it at night. I just like walk down the street like it's no big deal. And there was one day that I let Rika outside and did not realize that the coyote was the neighbor's yard. Rika took off after the coyote. Coyote took off, and we did not see it again. And that was like a year ago. I have not seen that coyote since. It's like, yeah, when you're suddenly being chased by a big old German Shepherd, you're like, okay, maybe not so much. But that was like really close. Like, if not in my yard, then in the neighbor's yard. I'm very grateful that none of my neighbors have outdoor cats. Like, I don't see outdoor cats in this neighborhood pretty much ever, which is nice. Rika's still at the door. If I hear it again, I may go investigate. I don't know if that would have come through the headphones or not, but it was like it was yipping and howling. Like I said, it was really close. And I don't know where the heck Rika was. She came from either upstairs or in the kitchen. She was probably in the kitchen. She was probably laying by the door into this room. That's usually what she does. And now she's kind of wandering between the front door and the front window in the living room. She has now lost interest and is on the couch. She is the definition of that meme about, we were wolves once, wild and wary. Then we noticed you had couches. That's my dog. She loves the couch. She's back to the front door now. Come back, sewing machine, come back. Rika is still very interested in the coyote. Like she's watching out the window, but she hasn't really reacted to it. Like she's not barking, she's not running back and forth. She's just kind of looking. So that tells me it's probably not in my yard because we call her the doggo alarm. I can tell you the second anyone or anything steps foot in my yard because it sets off the doggo alarm. and she has a very, very deep hatred of my mailman. I don't know why. And it's not the actual mailman. It is the act of them bringing mail. She just really, really hates. All right, time to put the last piece on. So as you can see, the final assembly of one of these bad boys is actually less time consuming than the H2Os. And I attribute that to, like, one, I'm not fighting with canvas. Cotton just cooperates better. And I also don't have to, top stitch anything. Although I do have to, I mean, you still have to stitch it twice. So you have to do the exterior and then the lining. So I don't know. It just feels like these go together faster. But the prep work for getting to that final assembly on the MAV is definitely more. Just there's more pieces, so it takes more time to cut out, takes more time to iron. Um, Putting in the welt pockets takes more time than just the one little zipper. So there's 3 total zippers. My view count keeps going up, but nobody has popped in as like a viewer, I don't think, because it's not showing me concurrent views. And that's okay. It is, like, almost 1 in the morning. It is 1 in the morning here in Ohio, so it's not going to be as popular as, like, 5 p.m. I'll figure out what a good time schedule is for me. Whether it'll be mostly like afternoons, will it be mostly evenings? I tend to stitch in the evening because you can stitch by artificial light pretty easily. Well, so stitching is my cross stitching. Um, I like to cross stitch in the mornings, like when I get up, and then sew at night. Not sure why. This one does not want to stay down. There we go. You can see how much more difficult this seam is than the lining seam on the other side was. Because now I've got the entire bag all squished into the middle. Almost there. And now we get to do everyone's favorite part. We call this ta-daing the bitch because the first time Deborah saw my best friend saw me making one of these, you get to the end and she's like, and you just kind of like went flip and then flop and then flop and then it was like, bitch, ta-da, there's a bag. And I love to I love the phrase like, I was like whatever bitches and the bitches whatever. Well, now the bitch is ta-da. So I'm just like, yeah, I ta-da'd that bitch. And so I shall ta-da this bitch in just a minute. Again, clipping some of this excess fabric out for the seam. Whoa, that one, that clips off. Would not be the first time, will not be the last time. Oh, okay, I'm gonna clean off all of my stray threads and other stuff that gets stuck to it. And now we shall ta-da the bitch. So you can see right now it is just kind of like this little like wafer of a bag. And this is the hard part of flipping it because I can't just grab the other side as easily. This is also called birthing a bag because you should be obvious. So there is the first flip, and then you go ta-da bitch, there's a bag. Ta! So now I'm gonna poke out all of my seams. That's always my last step. And then I'll stitch the pockets closed. These seams are actually cooperating today. Sometimes I have to use my big scissors to poke them out. But these, I think, aren't gonna need that. That one's going to. Have to find the hole in the pocket, or the gap in the pocket. There we go. I usually put a tag, a handmade tag, like a handmade by Valkyrie Stitchworks tag right here. But I ran out, and there were ones that I had just made myself using like iron-on transfer, and I'm gonna order like real ones. So in the meantime, I'm just not gonna have tags, and that's okay. And the people who buy it know it's handmade. And I always include a card um, with each bag that has the care instructions because they are machine washable. Um, and then also like all of my contact information. So, oops, it's a little harder to sew these pockets shut just because like a lot of fabric to push out of the way to get to it. And it's a lot of really stiff fabric because of the interfacing. I have the song We Are Young stuck in my head. So there's a crease in it right there. You can kind of see. I always end up with at least like one pucker. There's my pucker right there. But you can't really tell. I mean, unless you're like looking up super close, you won't see it's there. There's another little tiny one right there. It's just very, very hard to get these corners to lay flat. I don't know how people do it with vinyl. I don't like sewing with vinyl, um, which is why I don't make my bags with vinyl. There are a lot of people who do, and that's fine. I don't like sewing with vinyl. It hurts my hands, and I think that's like there's a lot of reasons I don't like sewing with vinyl. My machine doesn't do well with it because it's a domestic and it's a lower end domestic machine um, that doesn't have a lot of space when the uh, presser foot is lifted up. So when you get into like the really thick seams with multiple layers of vinyl, it can't do it. And I don't own very much vinyl. I do own a little bit. Um, but my extensive fabric stash that I built up during COVID was because of mask making, and so all of my fabric is cotton. I also like how cotton bags look. I always have, I like Vera Bradley's. So that's the preferred style of bag that I have carried for a long time is fabric or is like a cotton. And so it made sense, to when I started making bags to stick with cotton. Like I said, uh these particular patterns are made um, to be stitched with vinyl, but with modifications, usually a stiffer interfacing is a big one. Um, you can make them with cotton and they come out great, as you can see. And it also is like it's kind of unique. Like I don't see other mav makers stitching very much with cotton, so it makes me a little bit unique on the marketplace. Um, means that my bags don't cost as much as they would if they were made out of vinyl. I didn't clip that one. Now there are bag um, patterns made specifically for cotton. The mail bag, um, can't remember who it's by, but it's very similar to a Vera Bradley Hipster, um, which is what I am currently carrying as my purse, is a the mail bag. Um, it's one that I made, obviously. Um, and that pattern was actually it is for it's designed for cotton. The Sunshine Crossbody is another one. Misties. uh, it's designed for like you can make it with things like cork. Like I think I want to say that it's designed to use cork. I can't remember now. But I just use, you know, cotton with fleece. Cotton with fleece is pretty much my go-to for bags. I buy everything. I buy all my interfacings, you know, fleece, woven interfacing, all that. I buy them by the bolt, and depending on what I am making at the time, um, a bolt will last me usually a few months. I think the current bolt of fleece that I'm working on, I've been going on for about 3 months. Um, and I'm about halfway through it. So I don't go through the fleece quite as fast as the shape flex interfacing, the woven interfacing that goes on every single piece and goes underneath the fleece. I will go through a bolt of that in usually about 2 months. All right, get all these stray threads off here. Oh no! My zipper came undone. I have never had that happen before. That's that's gonna have to be repaired. I'll have to just like hand stitch that back in. That is so weird. It's the coil itself fell apart. Look at that. I think I clipped it too close to the seam there. Oh my Lord. It's gonna be very irritating if I can't get this zipped. Come on. This is a less than ideal situation. I have definitely never had this happen before. The interior zipper. Yeah, you can see it like frayed right there. So weird. There we go. So I'm gonna have to hand stitch that back in. But that sounds like a tomorrow. So there is Disney Northern Lights map. All done. And that's my front. Zipper pulls on that rainbow zipper. And the back. And now to make a strap for it. I do these as a convertible crossbody, or a convertible sling rather, which means you can wear it as a sling or as a backpack. Um, so that means it needs 3 clips total. Sorry if that was loud. Okay. And my rainbow hardware is not in my little drawers. It is in this basket. Where are my 2 clips? And 2 sliders. I thought I need to match that a little bit better. Yeah, that's much better. Like they're all rainbow electroplated, but you can have like more green, more purple, and these are more blue and purple, whereas the other ones were more had almost a gold tone to them. There's my lighter. This is 90% of sewing, y'all. Where the hell did I set this? Where the hell did I set that? Where's this thing that I just had? It's like when you're wrapping presents and you constantly lose the scissors and the tape and everything else that you just had in your hand. The hell is my lighter? Also, the sad thing is that I have like 4 lighters on this table somewhere. Do I know where any of them are? Of course not. You know what? I'm pretty sure that thing that I knocked on the floor earlier that I thought was a clip was actually my lighter because I just found it. Well, this is much easier to do when I don't have the ceiling fan on. But that's okay. These are a little bit more challenging when you're doing the double slider, but because it is adjustable in 2 different ways. is a nice snug slider. I like them snug. So that way they stay where you adjust them to. Here's my hubby, who has no idea I'm live streaming right now, most likely. Still streaming. But I am gonna finish this bag and then be done with my stream. Been on here for 2 hours. That's a good time, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the video from earlier today, just because like the sound didn't work for a huge portion of it. Um, and it was mostly me ironing anyway, which is like super boring. And then I took like a big long break in the middle of it because Nick got home and wanted to talk. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that earlier stream. I'll keep this one up. Um, I'll be back tomorrow, either afternoon or evening, to stream again, doing some more bags. All right, so here is my strap. I used rainbow hardware on it to match the rainbow hardware on the bag. And that is a completed MAV. So there it is. You can see it can be worn as a backpack or it can be worn as a sling. And there we go. Completed MAV pack. This is one of my favorite designs. Like I said, I made one of these. This is my second one of these I made. First one sold during Winterfest on one of the first nights. So here we are. That is 2 fully completed bags for this live stream. For those who weren't here earlier or forgot, this was the other one that I finished. They should go with the waterproof interior. And I will see you guys all sometime tomorrow. Keep an eye out on my Valkyrie Stitchworks social media. I will be posting an approximate time that I'll be going live. I'm not planning on setting an alarm tomorrow. I am planning on sleeping until I wake up. I usually wake up around 11. And then I'll probably eat, cross stitch maybe, and hop on here sometime in the afternoon. So I will see everyone tomorrow. Thanks for everybody who has watched this whole thing later. I don't think very many people popped in while it was live because, it's now 1:30 in the morning. But for those who did come see it live, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on my next live stream. Bye.